You'll be 6 when your father has a conference to attend in Hawaii, and will accompany him. You'll be so excited that you'll make preparations for weeks beforehand. You'll ask me about coconuts and volcanoes and surfing, and practice hula dancing in the mirror. You'll pack a suitcase with the clothes and toys you want to bring, and you'll drag it around the house to see how long you can carry it. You'll ask me if I can carry your Etch-a-Sketch in my bag, since there won't be any more room for it in yours and you simply can't leave without it. You won't need all of these, I'll say. There'll be so many fun things to do there, you won't have time to play with so many toys. You'll consider that. Dimples will appear above your eyebrows when you think hard. Eventually you'll agree to pack fewer toys, but your expectations will, if anything, increase. I want to be in Hawaii now, you'll whine. Sometimes it's good to wait, I'll say. The anticipation makes it more fun when you get there. You'll just pout. In the next report I submitted, I suggested that the term logogram was a misnomer because it implied that each graph represented a spoken word, when in fact the graphs didn't correspond to our notion of spoken words at all. I didn't want to use the term ideogram either because of how it had been used in the past. I suggested the term semigram instead. It appeared that a semigram corresponded roughly to a written word in human languages. It was meaningful on its own, and in combination with other semigrams could form endless statements. We couldn't define it precisely, but then no one had ever satisfactorily defined word for human languages either. When it came to sentences in heptapod B, though, things became much more confusing. The language had no written punctuation, its syntax was indicated in the way the semigrams were combined, and there was no need to indicate the cadence of speech. There was certainly no way to slice out subject-predicate pairings neatly to make sentences. A sentence seemed to be whatever number of semigrams a heptapod wanted to join together. The only difference between a sentence and a paragraph, or a page, was size. When a heptapod B sentence grew fairly sizable, its visual impact was remarkable. If I wasn't trying to decipher it, the writing looked like fanciful praying mantids drawn in a cursive style, all clinging to each other to form an Escher-esque lattice, each slightly different in its stance. And the biggest sentences had an effect similar to that of psychedelic posters, sometimes eye-watering, sometimes hypnotic. I remember a picture of you taken at your college graduation. In the photo you're striking a pose for the camera, mortarboard stylishly tilted on your head, one hand touching your sunglasses, the other hand on your hip, holding open your gown to reveal the tank top and shorts you're wearing underneath. I remember your graduation. There will be the distraction of having Nelson and your father and what's-her-name there all at the same time, but that will be minor. That entire weekend, while you're introducing me to your classmates and hugging everyone incessantly, I'll be all but mute with amazement. I can't believe that you, a grown woman taller than me and beautiful enough to make my heart ache, will be the same girl I used to lift off the ground so you could reach the drinking fountain, the same girl who used to trundle out of my bedroom draped in a dress and hat and 4 scarves from my closet. And after graduation, you'll be heading for a job as a financial analyst. I won't understand what you do there, I won't even understand your fascination with money, the preeminence you gave to salary when negotiating job offers. I would prefer it if you'd pursue something without regard for its monetary rewards, but I'll have no complaints. My own mother could never understand why I couldn't just be a high school English teacher. You'll do what makes you happy, and that'll be all I ask for. As time went on, the teams at each looking glass began working in earnest on learning heptapod terminology for elementary mathematics and physics. We worked together on presentations, with the linguists focusing on procedure and the physicists focusing on subject matter. The physicists showed us previously devised systems for communicating with aliens, based on mathematics, but those were intended for use over a radio telescope. We reworked them for face-to-face communication. Our teams were successful with basic arithmetic, but we hit a roadblock with geometry and algebra. We tried using a spherical coordinate system instead of a rectangular one, thinking it might be more natural to the heptapods given their anatomy, but that approach wasn't any more fruitful. The heptapods didn't seem to understand what we were getting at. Likewise, the physics discussions went poorly. Only with the most concrete terms, like the names of the elements, did we have any success. After several attempts at representing the periodic table, the heptapods got the idea. For anything remotely abstract, we might as well have been gibbering. We tried to demonstrate basic physical attributes like mass and acceleration so we could elicit their terms for them, but the heptapods simply responded with requests for clarification. To avoid perceptual problems that might be associated with any particular medium, we tried physical demonstrations as well as line drawings, photos, and animations. None were effective. Days with no progress became weeks, and the physicists were becoming disillusioned. By contrast, the linguists were having much more success. We made steady progress decoding the grammar of the spoken language, Heptapod A. It didn't follow the pattern of human languages, as expected, but it was comprehensible so far, free word order, even to the extent that there was no preferred order for the clauses in a conditional statement, in defiance of a human language, universal. It also appeared that the heptapods had no objection to many levels of center embedding of clauses, something that quickly defeated humans. Peculiar, but not impenetrable. Much more interesting were the newly discovered morphological and grammatical processes in heptapod B that were uniquely two-dimensional. Depending on a semigram's declension, inflections could be indicated by varying a certain stroke's curvature, or its thickness, or its manner of undulation, or by varying the relative sizes of two radicals, or their relative distance to another radical, or their orientations, or various other means. These were non-segmental graphemes. They couldn't be isolated from the rest of a semigram. And despite how such traits behaved in human writing, these had nothing to do with calligraphic style. Their meanings were defined according to a consistent and unambiguous grammar. We regularly asked the heptapods why they had come. Each time, they answered, to see, or, to observe. Indeed, sometimes they preferred to watch us silently rather than answer our questions. Perhaps they were scientists. Perhaps they were tourists. The State Department instructed us to reveal as little as possible about humanity, in case that information could be used as a bargaining chip in subsequent negotiations. We obliged, though it didn't require much effort. The heptapods never asked questions about anything. Whether scientists or tourists, they were an awfully incurious bunch.